Welcome, good friends. It's another week and we're towards the end of January and we have a new version for 7 Days to Die. We are heading into 19.4 Alpha 19.4 B3 Experimental, and it actually has some really interesting things in there. It does have, yes, it does have something to do with the bed. It has something to do with explosions, which is one of the part, which is, well, I'll go into that in a little bit. It also has some really cool and game-changing updates as well, or fixes rather, so you definitely want to know about it because it will change how you play the game. So stick with me as I go through it. And you wouldn't believe how difficult it is to get some zombie to lay down in bed. It's painful because they fall straight through it. Anyway, I will be going through the patch notes and telling you what's what. But before I do that, if you are a returning subscriber, I really want to thank you for the support that you are showing me. I really do appreciate it very, very much. If you're a new viewer or a returning viewer who haven't yet subscribed, I really do hope that I can convince you to subscribe. While it's free for you and just a click of the button, the subscribe button, it really means a lot to me as a small content provider. YouTube always favors the big channels, news, music channels. And as a small channel, it really helps when people like a video, they subscribe to it, and watch it, of course, because that way YouTube is informed that, hey, this is something that they really should be recommending to people. And without any of that, it's really tough to reach new people. I have about 100,000 unique visitors every month, but only 16,000 subscribers. So if I can get even a few hundred extra subscribers on a video, it would mean a lot. So please do take that moment, hit that subscribe button. But with that said, let me go through the patch notes that are on the 7 Days to Die website. At the end, I'll also show you how you actually access the new version. In case you are wondering, it's the same as anywhere else. So if you haven't done it before, just stick to the end. If you have, well, still stick to the end. So, hated posted, 19.4 B3 Experimental, and I'm going to go through what I mentioned. It says, good evening, thank you. 19.4 is coming to Experimental. They have a new ambient sound system with new content, and I'm going to show a little bit of some weird sounds, but you know, at least it's good they're adding new sound. The long-awaited fix for armor-piercing rounds. I have made videos about this previously and covered how they are not working. And I know actually on the 7 Days forum, people were actually discussing the AP rounds not working, and they were using my video to show that it was actually broken. And I suspect this is actually one of the reasons why the fun pimps noticed and decided to actually address it. So thank you for sharing my video, even on the official forum. Then the third one, and this is a good example where you probably need an extra run through of the patch notes before you post them to make sure that they actually make sense. So it says, the fix for the bed shared by everyone, at least nobody had to freeze. Now, reading this one, I have no idea what this is all about. It's like, I started thinking can we do bed sharings now? Can we have a shared spawn point? Nobody had to freeze. Do you heat up if you're standing on the bed or something? It doesn't make sense. But we'll get to that just a moment, just bear with me. And of course, they anticipated they are disabling the Christmas items, so they are no longer going to be found in loot, because they usually just enable it for the Christmas holiday season. So anything you've already looted will stay with you, but it's going to vanish from the loot table, which means you can't find it anymore. Fortunately, they've also expanded on the patch notes here, and they mentioned ambient sound systems that they already talked about. Focus blocked debug shot. I don't really know what this is, but I guess it's debugging information. They changed disable Christmas theme loot items, which we talked about, and now a few fixes here. Falling debris entities cause rapid damage during fall duration. I've actually never seen this, but maybe it'll cause you to almost instant die because you're taking damage multiple times because of falling debris. Secondly, AP rounds not working as expected. I will show that, so just hold on a little bit. And this is the cryptic one that was mentioned above. Explosions on a bed changes everyone's spawn point to that bed. I actually have, not that I know of, have actually never seen this happen, but apparently this was a problem where if there was an explosion on the bed and I guess it didn't destroy the bed, it would change everyone's spawn point to that bed, and that's obviously not the way it should be. Many of the ground textures are flickering. I've seen that happen before. Again, if they're fixing it, really good. Remove some blocks in a business 06, doesn't really matter, it's just some tidy up. And Writeable Storage Box does not have label on bottom side. I didn't notice that because normally I put the storage box on the front. I never put it sort of above. Actually, do I put it above? Maybe sometimes. I guess I haven't noticed that you couldn't actually write on it. Well, I at least couldn't write on the bottom. So let's start with the ambient sound system update. And if you listen, there's this really weird sound that I ran across when I went into Savage Country, actually. I'm not really sure whether it's correct. It may be supposed to be spooky, but it was a little bit weird with this vibrating whatever. Again, I'm really happy that they are continually expanding the sounds because the game does need more ambient sound. So thank you for that, even though it's sometimes a bit weird. Now we're also going to look very quickly on the Writeable Storage Box, and the way you actually do that is you create this wooden storage furniture. Go into the shape menu, select Writeable Storage Box, and so previously I would normally just put it something like this. And you go up to it and you hit E. Actually, you hold E and you then do edit. You type blah, 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 blah. And you would show what it is. I actually didn't notice that it didn't have something on the bottom. So let's put in blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's good. It should be. I mean, sometimes you actually put it up in your ceiling and you should be able to tell what it is. So I guess that was just a small mission. So thank you for fixing that one, Fun Pimps. Again, it's just that makes it better. I didn't notice it, but I'm sure other people did who used it in their ceilings. Now, as far as explosions on a bedroll, I haven't seen it. I'm not really sure how easy it is to test. It's probably one of those edge cases where something exploded. It didn't actually take out the bedroll, but it changed the spawn point. So again, it's a bug that if it was there, good, it was fixed. It probably wasn't very common that it happened. So an issue that has been in the game for quite a while is where armor-piercing rounds have been bugged. They actually, if you look at them, and let me pull up the armor-piercing round, it says that it's going to degrade. Oh, sorry, it's going to reduce the armor by 20%, which means that it should be better against armor targets versus the normal one, which doesn't have anything at all, and the hollow point, which increases the armor, doubles it. So that's something that didn't work, which was really weird. It actually meant that hollow points were better against all targets, including armor targets, which was just really weird. And it's something which has been in the game for such a long time, so it's about time that the Funpins fixed it. So I'm going to test it out here. I have an armor target. I believe these ones have about 60% armor. So I'm going to shoot them with a normal round. 28 damage. Okay, so I'm now going to change it to hollow point. Let's shoot that one. Aha! It did increase the armor to 100%. It actually is doing no damage. Oh, okay, so that's a huge difference. Previously, it would actually do more damage than the regular round. So that one has definitely been changed. Now let's go for armor piercing. So if the regular one does 28 damage, and actually, what does it say? 32. Okay, the regular one does 28 damage, and this one should now do more. And you can see it does. It actually did 36. So definitely against armor targets, 28 versus 36 versus, well, actually 0. That's actually peculiar. Let's try this out on a regular. This is Hawaiian. This is an unarmored target. So I shoot him. 70 damage. Gonna go towards the regular one, which deals 70 damage, which is as it should be because they don't have any armor. And let's go for the hollow point, which should be more than 70 damage. Ah, perfect. 92 damage. So that definitely is being fixed. And what this means is that if you're fighting against unarmored targets, the armor piercing is not going to perform worse than the regular one, but the hollow point definitely deals more damage. However, against an armored targets is 28 versus 36. Again, this is just specifically because of the armor that the Demolisher have, whereas the hollow point deals no damage. So you're going to have to think a little bit more about which bullet type you should be using. And I'm assuming that the same is actually going for instance, the 7.62 ammo and all the other ones. We're going to have to do a bit more in-depth testing to make sure all the armor piercing and hollow points have actually been fixed, but I'm assuming they have for now at least. So if you're going around with hollow points, don't shoot them at some of these these armor targets because they're going to do very little or no damage, whereas the armor piercing of course is going to do a fair amount of damage anyway. And of course normal rounds do deal damage. It's just not as good as armor piercing. So it means that you do have to do a trade-off on the resources, because armor piercing 9mm takes 2 gunpowder, 1 tip, 1 casing, versus the regular one, which is 1 gunpowder. I would still say if you're heading towards the mid-late game, you probably have a lot of gunpowder, less of the bullet casing. So I would probably say just run with armor piercing most of the time. Once in a while, maybe hollow point if you're running across a lot of regular zombies, but armor piercing definitely are really good. So coming back to how do you actually access the experimental versions? Well, I'm actually in Steam here. You right click on it, go to properties, and then you go to, not updates, you go to betas, and you select which one you want to have. Regular game is actually none, which means it takes whatever's the latest stable build. If you want to have the experimental, you go all the way down to latest experimental, unstable build, exit out, and you will actually queue up and update it to the experimental. When you want to go back, really simple, just make sure you go back to none. It'll download and update the correct latest stable version that is out there. And of course, if you want to try something else, let's say you want to go back to alpha 18.8, you can do that. Alpha 19, 19.0, 18.4, etc. You can do that as well. So it's really, really simple. One thing, as always, make sure you take a backup before you update to an experimental version, just in case something breaks. And if you made it here to then, thank you very much. I will definitely be covering future updates, so make sure you are subscribed to my channel. I'll catch you again.
Special thanks to the great patrons supporting the channel. If you would like to join the vetted community and support these videos, do follow the Patreon link.